Calling all attendees of FlyWheel 2017. I am super excited to announce the launch of the Fitness Business Podcast inaugural meetup for fitness business owners, managers, and staff who want to connect. The Fitness Business Podcast meetup is a morning walk to get the blood pumping, the heart beating, and the brain full of oxygen, all whilst talking business. Everyone is welcome, no matter of your fitness levels or your training goals. This is an active networking opportunity, so I would love you to come along and join me on Friday, April 28th at 6 a.m. in Darling Harbour. To register, just go to today's show notes and click on the Meetup FlyWheel 2017 logo.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast, your free weekly resource to make you a better fitness business leader. I'm JT, the boss of Active Management, and I'm pumped with the rest of the Active Management team to be the premier sponsor again in 2017. Doing this helps us achieve our why in business, which is to reduce the healthcare costs across the globe, so we love supporting it. Between you and us, we can get more people moving and more often. So let's get our hustle mode on. No matter where you are listening in the world, make sure you check out www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active for an extra special business resource to free up time for you so that you can then do what you love. Okay, enough from me. Who's on this week's show, Chantel?
Thanks, JT. Welcome everyone to show 97. It's another big one today. First up is part 2 of the good, the bad, and the ugly of LA gyms and studios. Then make sure that you keep listening because our pre-call quickfire 5 guest this week is none other than the Instagram expert herself, Sue B. Zimmerman. Before we kick off this week's show, let's hear from our podcast partners, Tribe Team Training. Are you interested in increasing your centre's income and your trainer's income from small group training? Tribe Team Training is the new way to get more members engaged in small group training and paying extra. Click the Tribe Team Training link in the show notes or go to tribeteamtraining.com.au/podcast for your free formula to see how much income you can make from small group training. Hey Tribe, we are back for another week of the show. It is show 97 and I've got my sidekick with me again. JT, welcome back.
Hi Chantel, how you going?
I'm very, very well. I'm very excited, but I've got to tell you something. I mean, this is my 3rd show in a row. I feel like there's been a lot of Chantal time happening on the show lately. I'm feeling a little bit guilty, like I'm When have you ever felt guilty about hogging the limelight? Yeah, not very often. Not very often, I must admit.
Look, I've spoken to a few people that listen to the show and they really enjoyed your business insights. And they also said that they thought our review of the clubs was really good. Have you heard anything? Have anyone come back to you?
I have. I must admit I had some really good feedback after the Ursa show, which was show 95, and then got a few people writing in on Facebook last week, which was fantastic, about our first week of our LA gym reviews. So I guess I shouldn't feel too guilty, right?
It's okay.
It's okay?
It's okay. It's okay. Let's do it again.
We'll push on. So, Tribe, you might recall last week, JT and I caught up and we gave you a bit of an overview about our visits to Soul Cycle and Barry's boot camp. Well, this week we are back once again, and this week we're going to cover off another 3 fitness studios, gym visits that we did, and that is Orange Theory, Speedplay, and FlyWheel. Now, if you tuned into last week's show, you know that we talked a lot, didn't we? That was a long show, 47 minutes, in fact.
I listened to that show several times, and I would like it on record that you spoke a lot. I just and ahed my way through it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to make myself the timekeeper for today. So we're going to keep on time and we're going to roll through this so that you guys get the very best takeaways and information from what we experienced.
In a more concise way.
Yeah. So let's do it. Okay, so first things first, Orange Theory Fitness.
Okay, Orange Theory Fitness. Funny name for a business, isn't it?
It is a little bit.
But when you go in there and you see their premise behind their training, the orange being the heart rate level that they want you to work out in, it actually makes good sense. And there seems to be, on face value, a lot of sense behind the science of their programming. You're the programming expert, not me. What did you think of the workout?
Yeah, good question. So first things first, when I first went for that workout and I hadn't been terribly familiar with Orange Theory, because it's how long has it been in Australia for? Not long at all, really.
2 years here. But
I think
it's been in the US now for nearly 5 years.
It's been in the US for a while. But anyway, it was my first Orange Theory. So I didn't really know about the heart rate monitor and how it worked and how it associated. And I definitely found that was a great motivator for me personally. And I learnt about myself that having a heart rate monitor or being able to track and see what's happening absolutely kept me engaged with the workout. And the second that we walked in the door, they kind of straight away gave me the monitor to put on and to use and show me what happened and instructed me. And I did like the fact that within that onboarding process, one of the team members there physically sat me down. I think we sat on a rower and had like a flip chart.
Yeah, and the flip chart was cool.
Which was actually really good, and it's pretty simple theory, really.
I took a photo of that. We can put that in the show notes.
Good, perfect. So she sat down with me, went through this flip chart, explained to me what happened within a class environment about 5 minutes before the class started, explained the monitor system. And so I guess by the time that I actually stepped foot in the door, I had a fair understanding of what I was in for. It wasn't going to be a surprise. As far as the workout was concerned, I found it good, but I found it quite complex. And what I mean by that is that there were a lot of elements going on. There were a lot of changes within that 1 hour class. I think we did three full circuits. And that is from treadmill to rower to a station, which was a combo of TRX and weight-based training. And I'm pretty sure we went through that either 2.5 or 3 times around. So there were a lot of changes in
we did
the time.
3 loops of treadmill strength, rower strength. We did 3 loops of that, and then we changed, and then went 3 loops of that, and then there was half a...
Correct, yeah.
So, I don't know how long we spent, but okay, so you felt it was a bit complex.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a lot to jam into, a lot of changes to jam into that 1 hour. Saying that,
although you were pretty doughy, you just got off the plane.
Yeah, it was after a 15-hour flight.
Yeah, so maybe your brain wasn't switched on.
So look, I actually enjoyed the workout. I just thought I felt as though there were a lot of changes. How about you? What did you find?
Well, I didn't wear a monitor. I used MyZone belt, and so I had a MyZone belt on, which of course doesn't pick up on their system. And I understand why it doesn't, but I think, if you're going to Orange Theory all the time, then of course you're going to wear the Orange Theory belt. But if you're a drop-in visitor and you've got a different version of heart rate monitor, it doesn't click in. I don't know whether that's a strength or a weakness, but I had my own zone that I was working in, so I didn't even look at anything else, which probably impacted the engagement that the coach could have had with me. I really love the layout of Orange Theory. I think they do a great job of layout. Super friendly staff at the front desk. One of the best Orange Theories in Santa Monica that I've been into, with the way they meted and greeted us, or met and greet, whatever that word is. There's a shitload of staff there.
There was a lot of staff for a small
What did we get, Saturday
studio
morning? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was like 4 or 5 behind the front desk. I was surprised at how overstaffed it was, and I think you were the only person that hadn't been there before. Yeah. So they weren't there doing sales presentations.
They weren't, but they did look as though they were busy the whole time. I mean, they were on the phone, they were doing obviously adjusting appointments or something, but they were pretty flat out, all of them. And
then the coach, look, I thought the coach was okay. No, let me be fair to the coach. I thought the coach was really good, but then after we experienced other coaches in other studios, he kind of dropped back down that ladder. Yeah. So he started at number 1, and then we went to another one. He went to number 2, and then went another. And I think his weakness was he wasn't an entertainer. He didn't have that over-the-top personality that I may have been looking for after flying for 15 hours to get me through a workout. Mm-hmm. He was certainly fit. He was certainly strong, but I'm not sure he was engaging with the people in the group well enough, and I don't think whether he was entertaining well enough, and maybe because of the complexity of the programming and the, air commas, choreography, he couldn't do both.
Yes.
I don't know.
I think you're right about that. I think it was necessary for him to do a fair amount of directional style coaching to make sure that everything remained flowing throughout the routine. So I guess as far as takeaways go, a couple of things that spring to my mind, and that is having a look at the program that you have within your studio, within your club, to make sure that you do in fact have the best possible balance of a coach that is able to deliver the directional cues that are needed, the engagement with the members, the encouragement and the motivational cues that are there, whilst also being able to keep the flow going of the class. Yeah. And the other thing that I would really consider is if you are a club that utilizes a heart rate monitor system of any way, shape or form, use it. So in other words, JT, you just mentioned, he maybe didn't have the opportunity to use it. But if you have people's name up on a screen and you have that resource at your fingertips,
exactly,
then that is such a important and valuable tool for your instructors to connect with your members and for your members to connect with each other.
And we're going to talk about FlyWheel.
Yes, we are.
Shortly. The same thing at FlyWheel. Mm-hmm. They got your names on the board, but the instructor didn't even mention any of that. Mm. So it's, for me, when you've got that ability to see someone's name up there, that is a tool for us to be able to engage with an individual. And that's what we need to train our team on.
Cool.
Hey, I'm curious, one of the things you sent to me, and I think the guys and girls listening today would appreciate this, you got really excited when you got your first email after you got booked in. Mm-hmm. Tell everybody what was in that email. Do you remember?
Now, I got a lot of emails in that time. I got a lot of emails.
Well, actually, that's interesting. So you got a lot of emails from different studios?
I got a lot of emails from all of our gym visits, more than I was expecting.
So there's a really interesting tip that for your first-time visitor, part of that onboarding process and making you feel comfortable in this new place you're going to be is online communication with onboarding emails.
And I thought that a lot of these studios, in fact, I would straight away say Barry, SoulCycle, Orange Theory up the top of the list, had exceptional systems built around their online communication. And that was the email confirmation that you received in the lead up. While I was sitting in Australia before we even flew to LA, had what appeared to be a personalized email from, I think it was SoulCycle, saying, hey Chantal, I see that it's your first visit. Just wanted to make sure that you know how to get to the studio. There's parking at such and such place. If you've got any concerns, if you've got any questions, please give me a call. My name is, Sue or whatever it was. And I thought that was amazing. I replied to her.
So whether that was automated or not, you felt it was personalised.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a great insight.
Yeah, and that experience carried on with a number of the different facilities that we visited. And in answer to your question about Orange Theory, now, if I recall correctly, they followed up to ask about the workout and sent through an offer with a discount or something for my following workouts.
Right.
Yeah. Am I correct? Or did I forget something?
No.
You asking me.
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's a really interesting thing is what the boutique studios that we experience do really well is online communication, way better than big gyms. I mean, remember we went to Gold's?
Yep.
And they didn't record anything. They didn't get our name. They didn't get our email. Or we signed a waiver, but we never got a thanks for visiting. Do you want to upgrade or anything like that?
Yeah.
When big boxes are trying to compete with boutiques, there's a really simple mismatch in the communication.
And the other thing before we move on to the next studio is just 2 days ago, I think it was, we received an email from SoulCycle talking about a merchandise sale that they're having on their clothing. Now, I'm back on the other side of the world, but I would do anything to be able to go along to that sale to purchase some more clothing. So
of course you would. Me, on the other hand, I'm quite happy staying in sunny Sydney and not worrying about spending any more money.
Nonetheless, they've done a good job of staying connected. So let's go. My timekeeping's not doing very well, is it? We've got to talk about Speedplay. Let's touch on Speedplay.
Downtown LA, Speedplay.
Yeah. Talk about a tiny space. How big do you reckon that floor space was?
I reckon for the Americans it would have been not much bigger than a racquetball court.
It was tiny.
It was tiny.
Yeah.
So let me just, you talk.
Okay,
I'll do some
you
maths.
do some calculations. So, and you need to convert it between meters and
Yeah,
I know. Good luck with that. So guys, Speedplay, just to put this into a picture, so even in case you haven't visited, pretty much the floor space was long, rectangular. I would suggest down one side were treadmills and down the other side was a mirrored wall with all of your bars like barbells, weights, bands, kind of a combination of things. Not a huge fit out, like not a whole lot of stuff in there.
Less than 900 square feet.
Okay, there you go. Less than 900 square feet. It was a small, like I was surprised when I looked in there.
What do they have? 8 treadmills, 8 rowers, 8 TRX with... So it must have been set up for groups of 8.
Yeah. And the treadmills were the self-propelled ones.
Self-propelled.
Yeah, which was really interesting. They were jammed in there.
Were they just the curved ones?
Yeah, slightly curved self-propelled ones. So, what it said to me was what you can do in what you can actually achieve in a really small space, because in the class that we did, it was full. There would have been, I want to say, about 24 people in that class.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that was probably close to capacity.
Yeah.
And that, again, was a really good example of, A, how you can run a decent-sized group in a small environment, but B, how important coaching and flow is to make it work. Because if that instructor hadn't been on the ball the whole time...
Because there were a lot of newbies.
There was a lot of newbies. There was a lot to do. But if she hadn't been on the ball, it could have quite easily fallen apart, but it didn't.
So she did a great job playing traffic cop.
Yes.
Like managing people through where they needed to go, what they needed to do. But was it entertaining?
No.
Not really.
Not really. No.
And I don't even think she was really correcting many people's technique.
No, I think she just had a big job on her hands just trying to keep everything moving.
And I actually think she might have felt a bit intimidated because there are a lot of URSA people there and a lot of fitness-based.
Yeah.
So she may have felt... Whereas you, on the other hand, would have gone, wow, look at all these cool people I am now going to entertain.
Yeah.
She, on the other hand, felt probably a little bit more intimidating.
I think it was probably intimidating. But saying that, the question that springs to my mind is, in that environment, how entertaining do you need to be? I don't know that it is entirely necessary for that coach to be the entertainer in the same way as it works for a Barry's or a Sol.
Yeah, sure.
I think the role of the coach in that particular environment does work relatively well as the probably a bit more technique stuff if you didn't have such a big group. But traffic cop is kind of what was needed.
But she didn't engage. Like she didn't high five.
True.
You know.
True.
And a lot of the noise coming out was previous guest on the Fitness Business podcast, Matt Wright, ranting and raving and screaming at people.
Hey, Matt. It's so true. It's so true. So let me ask you this. Based on your experience there, what would you do if you were the owner of that club to make it just that little bit better, to engage with the members a little bit more?
I would put in heart rate monitoring. I would have put in... I mean, obviously I'm a fan of MyZone, so I would have put MyZone in there without a doubt. In fact, I grabbed the owner afterwards and said, hey, I think his name was Xavier.
Xavier, yeah.
I said, Xavier, you need to put MyZone in here to make it easier for your coaches to engage, and your members and clients are going to get much better results.
Yeah.
The thing that I really liked about it, I don't know if you noticed this, but on the wall in front of the treadmills was a piece of Perspex that was about the size of a US letter piece of paper, Perspex, and that's where they had written up what your loop was. So there was no tech at all in the place. It was so basic. I was like, that's what we're doing on the treadmill. Yeah. Right? I can look at that. Oh, that's what we're doing on the strength. Oh, that's what we're doing on the rower.
Yeah, you're right.
And it was like just a piece of Perspex, text written on, and that would obviously change every day or every week.
Yeah, it was kind of like what F45 do with the TVs, but we're just on a piece of Perspex, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like the
no
basic
pictures,
version.
Just, here we go, what you do and rip in. So look, I really liked it. Tiny reception area. Mm-hmm. So they maximised their space massively. Remember, we had to get our photo taken out the front because we There was no space for everybody. Interestingly enough, I'm not aware of a lot of ongoing emails from Speedplay.
I don't think so either. And their social media engagement wasn't as high as the other clubs, yeah.
So I got one afterwards, thanking us for the workout and trying to upsell me into a bigger package. But I don't think I've had anything since.
Yeah.
In comparison to a weekly email from a lot of the bigger brands.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's a good message for us, is that if you're trying to compete, you've got to compete on all levels, and these boutiques are sending emails out every week.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I don't want to look at them, I unsubscribe. But at least give me the opportunity to unsubscribe rather than you saying, oh, well, you won't want them every week, so I'm not going to send them.
Yeah. The other thing that I would just finish off on in regards to Speedplay is if you are a club owner that has either a small space that you are trying to make work for a group fitness environment, or if you're looking at opening in a small space, it might be an inner city space or something like that, then definitely check out the layout and check out how they've actually assembled Speedplay, because I think it's a great example of just what's possible in a small space.
And there's two of them in LA, so we went downtown. There's another one in Beverly Hills. I don't know how big that one is, but the use of space was phenomenal.
Cool. Okay, because we are super tight on time, I want to know what were the top 2 things that you enjoyed about the FlyWheel experience?
FlyWheel is one of my favourite indoor cycling places because they record what I do. So I can see on a TV, but it also gets pushed to my online profile so I can see my workout. Just loved it. I'm a huge fan of it. This club was, Playa Vista was only, I think, 12 months old, so it still smelt new, still looked new. It was clean. I love the theatre style, so it didn't matter where I was, on what bike, I could see the instructor, although the instructor couldn't see me.
Was that because of the structure of the room, you mean?
No, because he had his eyes closed for the whole class.
That's so
whole
true.
class. He couldn't engage with anybody because his eyes were closed. I've never seen that before.
In the zone.
Ever. But yeah, those were the things that I really like. I really like how they have that. Great layout. Again, reception area with retail at the front. Not sure how much retail they sell. I don't think their retail's quite as good as some of the other brands that we certainly went to. But FlyWheel's good. I've done FlyWheel in New York, Boston, and now LA, and it's a fairly consistent product, fairly consistent class.
Yep.
What about you?
Okay, I agree with all of that. So rather than tell you what I like, because I'll just be repeating myself, I'm going to tell you the things that as a consumer, not that I didn't like, but I'm just going to tell you my view as a consumer. 2 things. Love the theatre style, love the monitor. Love the monitor. It made me push so hard. What I didn't love is that I only got to see the scoreboard. So up on the screen in front of the whole class, they show a scoreboard. And on that scoreboard, you're ranked compared to all of the other people in the room. And I think that only flashed up maybe 3 times for about 30 seconds throughout the whole thing. And so the frustration for me as someone who's quite competitive was that the first time I saw it, I was able to see, okay, this is where I'm at.
Okay, no. It's time I cut in right now.
Go. What?
Chantel, be honest. You were really pissed off because your name wasn't up there at all on the first one, because they had the top 10 and you weren't there, and you were thinking, where am I?
Yeah, I was.
And then I looked at your bike and I could see your number and it was higher than... So for whatever reason, this is a great example of technology failing us because you should have been up there.
Yeah. So I was frustrated, but I also could see where I was meant to be. So I made it my mission to try and get into the first spot for the girls. And my frustration was that it was probably another 20 to 25 minutes before that screen came back up again. So I really had no idea of where I was at. So that was the frustration. So I guess for consumers that are like me that want to actually know, it's not ideal to only be able to see it a couple of times. So that's number one thing. So loved that I could see what I'm doing. Loved that I could look at the talk and my progress and everything on the individual screen on the bike, but I wanted to know how I was doing compared to everyone else in the class. The other thing that I would say, and this is probably something important when we think about retail within our clubs, and that is outside in the entrance to the club, there was the wall with all the retail stuff. I would say the wall or the section of reduced price sale merchandise was pretty much as large as the wall of stuff that was normal price. And to me, maybe I'm putting my female point of view, I go, well, people obviously aren't buying it because there's so much stuff that's been reduced and on sale.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
therefore, do I really want it? I don't know that I do.
That's a really interesting observation.
So I guess keep that in mind with your own facilities, and that is, if you are, so here's the flip side. Soul Cycle had like one of each, and Barry's I think had like one, maybe two of each thing left.
That was on sale.
The top that I'm wearing today, they actually said to me, I picked it off the rack and they were like, that's the last one that has sold out. Now, what am I going to do? Of course I'm going to buy it. I want it.
At full price.
At full price. So just keep that in mind with our retail outlets, I would say.
I reckon big box gyms, PT studios can learn a lot from some of these big brand boutiques on their retail.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
It's a great secondary income stream, and people are proud to wear their gear as you are today.
Yeah. Now, we're pushing 25 minutes already, and I promised you last week that we'll tell you about a couple of the things not to do, and I think we've already covered a few of them off. Without naming names, there are just a couple more tips that I think that we both felt about a couple of the visits that are things that you can think about with your own clubs, and I guess it's things to consider, to review, and maybe in some cases to avoid. So, JT, do you want to get us started with maybe thinking about, I don't know, we might just go the top two takeaways that if you were a club owner, you would make sure that you're not doing these things.
Okay, first one is the name of the place. First one's got to be the name. We went to one place, and I won't name this facility, but it was really easy to get the name wrong and call it something pathetic. And that's not what it was. Well, kind of was, but you just got to think about your name and not be too clever with your name. There's another one that's opening in Sydney shortly, and it's like, it's hard to say. Just make it easy for people to say so it rolls off your tongue. Okay. And the other thing for me, and I think you'll probably agree with this one, is the entrance. Rudy Fabiano, who is a fantastic health club designer based in New York, we might even get him on the show at one stage to talk about layouts for foyers and lobbies. I could see in your body language, you'd made up your mind at one of the facilities what that workout was going to be like, purely based on the entrance area. I was a little bit more, how you going, but you'd made your mind up, hadn't you?
Absolutely. As I set foot in the door, I'd made my mind up. Absolutely. And I guess from my point of view...
And that place, was about the same size as Speedplay.
Yeah, it was.
It's just
a bit more of a rabbit warren, though, but the layout.
But they just laid that foyer area out at Speedplay in a much more welcoming way to this place, which was like this rabbit warren, shitty little reception desk. Yep. No offence intended.
Yeah. From my point of view, probably the biggest takeaway that I would be encouraging everyone to think about is how important it is that your social media pages reflect your gym experience. So what I don't want to do as a consumer is I don't want to get excited about an experience and jump onto Instagram and have a look at some really cool photos and some really kind of hot stuff and then walk in the door and have a completely different environment hit me in the face.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I think that we need to be honest with what we post on social media. I think, if your club is all about, women 39 to, 45 and it's a more relaxed environment and people aren't super sporty and it's not, crop tops and booty shorts, then that's the environment you should be reflecting on your social media pages and in your content and on your website. Don't try and be what you're not.
Great insight.
At the same time, be very conscious that impression, the first impression that you get, yes, is online, but that first physical impression that you get when you walk into the club needs to be a good impression. And you just mentioned it then, JT, because people will make their mind up that second that they enter the door of your studio. In fact, I'm going to take it back one step. They'll make their mind up when they see the outside of your premises.
Yeah.
Won't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes back that far, because do you remember when we were in LA and we saw Soul Cycle, which was on a corner block from
downtown.
the other side of the street, and I was like, oh, it's like I've arrived. And so that impression from a block away, so think about the outside of your business. Think about the signage on the outside. Think about whether or not your windows are clean, your paint's coming off. All that sort of stuff makes a difference.
Signage is a tough one because that's often in your lease. Mm-hmm. But little things like you just said there, like paint, windows clean, they're things that we can control as business owners, and I think we get blind of that. Like in Australia, I'm not sure this is so much across the world, but I see a lot of spiders' webs.
Yes.
On windows, and it's like, can you not see that?
We are good at spider webs here, don't we?
But all those little things, it's a really good point. I forgot about being on the opposite corner of the Soul Cycle.
Yeah. So, hey, I reckon we're probably done for our little review of LA gyms. I hope that you guys have really enjoyed it, and I hope you found that there's been stuff in the conversation that you can take away and think about with your own businesses. JT, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you so much for having me. I would encourage everybody, if I can leave with one piece of fit bizpiration, as you like to say, I would encourage everybody listening to go and work out in a different club. Go and experience it as a consumer and see what you can learn. And most of the time as club owners or boutique owners or PTs, we go in there and we're trying to find fault. We're trying to see how we're better than them. Change your mindset and go in and say, how can I learn from these guys? What are they doing really well that I could then look at either duplicating or learn from? Because you get a lot of great information from experiencing other facilities.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And I'm going to leave you with my fit bizpiration, which is kind of an add-on to that. And that is, I would encourage you all to choose 3 different facilities and go step by step through their online sign-up process. So do the online thing, make yourself a note and write down what it is about that online sign-up process that you find is really user-friendly, what works, what doesn't work. And if you have the opportunity, go and do the gym visit, as JT's just mentioned, and then try and experience and see what their follow-up is. And same deal, write down what works, what doesn't work, what you can apply to your business. And then once you've done that kind of online analysis, so what those connection points are online, go back and do it for your own business. So put yourself in the customer's shoes for your own business. Have a look at your website. Have a look how user-friendly it is. Sign up as if you were going to do a class or a program or a PT session or whatever it might be, and step yourself through that process and make the decision whether or not that is the experience that you want your customers to have, or if you need to make a few tweaks and changes to doing that.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool.
Great.
That's it. It's over and out from us for this week. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And JT, thanks for dropping by once again.
Pleasure.
Collaborative thinking to solve business challenges. Sound like a good idea? Just one advantage of Rex Roundtables in Australia, Europe, and the US. Go to rexroundtables.com.
Get ready for this week's bonus segment, your extra injection of information, education, and inspiration to strengthen your fitness business.
Ryan Vogt is the fitness director of Tri-City Core Club, and I caught up with him recently to ask about his experience with Tribe Team training.
Well, I'll tell you, when we first started going down this road, we had 20 to 30 participants in small group personal training, and we just learned from Tribe that we successfully have had the most people enrolled at launch with 263 Tribers.
Oh, that is phenomenal. 263 at launch.
I mean, at launch. And so we had, 20 to 30 people participating prior to Tribe team training, and we launched with 263 club participants. So, for us, financially, it's a win-win. The Tribers are going to be getting great results. The trainers are ultimately making more money because they're working with more people and getting to affect more lives. But we're at the point now with our first season where we brought in about $35,000 US dollars. And you get to multiply that by 7 seasons in a year. So we're super excited.
That's amazing. You've got to tell us what was the secret to getting that many signups at launch?
I think it was just buy-in from everyone. Tribe did a great job, with Tim coming in and doing, our module training, really just creating an environment where the team was totally bought into what the goal was, and he had stated to us that, the previous record was 153, and he just said, where are we going to go? And one of my staff said, hey, we're going to hit 154. And, it's like it just kept growing and expanding, and the excitement, among the team was really where the success was.
That's amazing. And can you give us a bit of an insight, maybe paint a bit of a picture of how you initially presented the concept of Tribe to your existing trainers, and then what was the reaction from them? Because you said just before that part of the success was their buying and obviously the opportunities that it created for them. So talk us through what that initial conversation was like and how you got them on board.
Yeah, well, I think that Tribe and, building a following is important to a trainer. It's an industry where the more people you have following you, the better and more confident you feel about yourself. And so when you went in with Tribe, it was more how many lives can we affect in an hour period of time? And so really the system, I think, was also exciting in that so much of the time is spent, from trainers in building out the programming and doing that week after week after week. And so Tribe team training and the countless amount of hours that go into their program design and then how it's delivered to you and ease of use. And so I was able to show that to the team prior to the module training, and it really started to come to life for them that, I can get in and I can spend as much or as minimal amount of time really just mastering the new moves that are going to be taught each week. And it's really been a positive for them. And more interaction too, because, hey, how are we delivering a roly-poly, for example? And the trainers are together and it's, they're working as a team prior to their delivery each week. So,
Ryan, what would you say to anyone that's considering implementing Tribe team training in their club?
I would just say go for it. Just the quality, characteristics of each of the individuals from, I believe it's JP and Sharon and Tim and some of the other various emails that I've gotten from them. The communication is outstanding. Their delivery is great. And it just made it simple for us to administer. I wouldn't say that there wasn't hours put into it, but, you put the work in and the system is there to follow.
Ryan, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us about your experience with Tribe team training. And I couldn't agree more, when you are taking on a new solution for your club, that communication piece is so key. And that's communication between the provider, in this case, Tribe team training, your club, but also then that communication that goes between yourselves and your staff and, of course, your members. So thank you so much for coming on today. It's been great having a chat to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Precor Quickfire 5.
Tribe, I've got to tell you, I'm a little bit starstruck with today's guest because I am welcoming Sue B. Zimmerman to the show, the Instagram expert, the one and only. Welcome along, Sue.
Hey, thanks for having me. I didn't know you were starstruck.
I am starstruck because all of our tribe know that I'm a bit of an Instagram addict. So to have you on the show is incredibly exciting, and I cannot wait for you to share your expertise with our tribe. So are you ready for the pre-call quickfire 5?
Let's go.
Okay, tell us, why do you do what you do?
I do what I would do to help other business owners have clarity and success in their lives because I've been very fortunate with my success.
And what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
To be yourself 100%, like not give a shit what anyone thinks about you.
And what's a personal habit that helps you become better at what you do?
Well, there's 3. Can I give you more than one?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, you'll like these because they're kind of in the health space. So every day I have warm lemon water. My husband brings it to me, so that's an added bonus. I do my weights in the shower, and I walk my cute cockapoo Cody outside in the Boston Public Garden, and it just grounds me every day.
Okay, you got to back up a second. You do your weights in the shower?
Yeah, I have a big shower, and I like lifting weights in the shower. I'm one of these people that's like super friggin' efficient with my time. So I'm not talking hardcore workout here. I'm talking blood flow, get the body moving.
Wow, that has got to be the most efficient strategy I think I've ever heard.
I thought you'd like that one. Yeah, that's a good one, right?
That's brilliant. And Sue, tell us, why should our tribe come back next week and listen to the main interview?
Oh my God, because we're just going to have a shit ton of fun, and this is going to be so informative. I mean, you're going to be like mind blown about not just Instagram, but business.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pre-Call Quickfire 5.
You betcha.
That's all for this week's show. Don't forget, our very special show with Sue B. Zimmerman is coming up next week in show 98. Do not miss that one. Until then, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded, and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget, all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.